Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Hazrin Zaim bin Kari Nizam. So today we will present our article review titled The 2026 Hormuz Crisis and Global Strategic Dynamics. So the crisis began when tension between Iran and also United States and Israel escalated in 2026. Following attacks on Iranian energy infrastructure, Iran responded by closing the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most important energy trade routes. As a result, oil prices increased, global supply chains were disrupted, and many countries faced economic uncertainty.
Now I will move on to the question 1, which focus on attack and counter-attack in global competitive dynamics. For question 1, we analyze the Hormuz crisis using the concept of attack and counter-attack in global competitive dynamics. The military strikes carried out by the United States and Israel against Iranian energy infrastructure can be considered an attack. In response, Iran announced the closure of Strait of Hormuz, which acted as a strategic counterattack. Instead of responding only through military action, Iran targeted global trade and energy supplies. This strategy can increase economic pressure on countries that supported the military strikes. According to the comprehensive model of global competitive dynamics, competitors often react to their action of their rival. Iran's decision to close the strait was intended to create economic consequences for its opponent by disrupting one of the world's most important oil transit routes. The Straits of Hormuz carry approximately 20% of global petroleum consumption. Therefore, any disruption can have a major impact on economics worldwide. The closure led to concerns about higher fuel prices, increased transportation costs, inflation, and slower economic growth. Western countries were particularly vulnerable because many of them depend on imported energy. At the same time, major Asian economies such as China and India were also affected due to the reliance on oil imports from the Gulf region. From a strategic perspective, Iran's counterattack was designed to increase the economic cost of military action taken against it. The closure sent a clear message that attacks on Iran could have serious consequences for the global economy. In conclusion, the closure of Strait of Hormuz was a strategic counterattack that targeted economic vulnerabilities rather than military capabilities. This case highlights the importance of energy security, global trade routes, and strategic responses in international business.
For question 2, we will discuss the concept of cooperation and signaling. Signaling refers to the action taken by a country or organization to communicate its intention, capabilities, or strategic position to others. During the 2026 Hormuz crisis, Iran allowed Chinese and Russian ships to continue passing through the Strait of Hormuz while restricting access for Western aligned countries. This was not just a transportation decision, but a strategic signal that will change the market forever. That will change the global market. To Western countries, Iran was sending a message that it had the power to influence global energy flows and that military actions against Iran could lead into a serious economic consequences. Since around 20% of the global oil trade passes through the strait, any disruption can significantly affect the global economy. At the same time, Iran's decision to allow China and Russia access demonstrated its willingness to strengthen relationship with important political and economic partners that is willing to help them. This cooperation encouraged these countries to maintain supportive or neutral positions during the crisis. So, in conclusion, from a business perspective, Western companies face greater uncertainty and restrictions, while Chinese and Russian firms experience fewer disruptions. Therefore, Iran used signaling as a strategy to apply pressure on its opponents, strengthens alliance, and also influence international business activities.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Fakri bin Musa. So I will be taking a part for question 3. So for question 3, we will discuss the difference between local or regional enterprise and multinational enterprise during the 2026 Hormuz crisis. The Hormuz crisis caused major disruptions to global supply chains, especially in food and manufacturing industries. Different companies responded in different ways depending on their size and resources. The first example is Lulu Group International, which is a regional enterprise operating mainly in Gulf region. During the crisis, the company faced food supply disruption, rising transportation costs, and product shortage. To overcome this challenge, Lulu Group increased its inventory levels, worked with multiple suppliers, and strengthened its supply chain management. Their main focus was to ensure a stable food supply for customers in the region. So, for the second example is TSMC, a multinational enterprise. TSMC faced shortage of semiconductor materials and disruption in its global supply chains. To reduce risk, the company diversified its suppliers, maintained strategic inventories, and expand its facility in the United States and Japan. These actions helped TSMC improve its long-term resilience and reduce dependence on a single location. In comparison, Lulu Group focused on regional food supply stability while TSMC focused on global diversification and long-term risk management. This shows the multinational enterprise usually have greater resources, larger international network, and more flexibility to respond to global crises. In conclusion, the Hormuz crisis demonstrates the supply chain management. Resilience is important for all businesses. However, multinational enterprises are generally better positioned to manage global risks because of their wider resources and international operation.
So I'm here to explain for question 4. I will discuss energy security and strategy. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz in 2026 creates major challenges for multinational enterprises worldwide. Many businesses face higher transportation costs, supply shortage, and also uncertainty in global markets. The first strategy is alternative routing. Company can use routes such as Saudi Arabia East-West Pipeline and the UAE Abu Dhabi crude oil pipeline to reduce dependence on Strait of Hormuz. So these routes support business continuity during geopolitical tension. However, they also have limitation, which is including limited capacity, high infrastructure costs, and security risks. The second strategy is supplier diversification. Companies should source material and product from multiple country, which is instead of depending on one religion. They also improve supply chain flexibility and reduce the impact of geopolitical disruption. The third strategy is inventory management, which is maintaining safety stock allows companies to continue operation during supply chain disruption and also protect against unexpected shortage. The fourth strategy is technology. Businesses can use artificial intelligence, which is AI, predictive analytic, and real-time tracking system to identify risk and respond quickly to disruption. So in conclusion, company must be balanced efficiency with resilience to survive geopolitical disruption. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Amanullah Shahid bin Husni and my ID number is SIB24070240 and I will discuss about question 5. Discusses how the 2026 Hormuz crisis may accelerate the global green transition. For this section, I contribute by researching and preparing the analysis on how energy disruption influence renewable energy adoption. The Hormuz crisis disrupted global oil supplies, causing higher oil price and uncertainty in energy markets. As a result, many governments sought greater energy independence by investing more in renewable energy sources such as solar and wind power. Higher fuel price also encouraged the adoption of electric vehicles, which depends less on fossil fuels. This transition offers several benefits. Country can improve energy security, reduce reliance on important fossil fuels, and lower their exposure to future geopolitical risks. This advantage help create a more stable and sustainable energy system. However, there are challenges including higher transportation costs, supply chain disruption, rising price of critical materials like lithium, cobalt, and nickel, and high investment costs for developing countries. Overall, despite these challenges, the crisis is likely to accelerate the global shift toward renewable energy in the long term. That's all from me. Thank you.
Today, I will talk about how the 2026 Hormuz crisis increase several risks and affect multinational companies and MNAs. Several risks refer to the possibility that political stability and military conflict can negatively affect business operation and investment decision. The conflict involving Iran, the United States, and Israel create uncertainty because it disrupted the Strait of Hormuz, which is one of the world's most important energy trade routes. One major impact of the crisis was the increased demand for safe haven assets, especially the US dollar. During uncertain times, investors tend to move their money to safer assets. As a result, the US dollar becomes stronger while the other currency become more volatile. This can increase operation costs and make financial planning more difficult for multinational companies. Another important issue is force majeure, which refer to the unexpected event that prevent business from operating normally. Due to the crisis, shipping delay, higher transportation costs, and supply chain disruption occur. This cause shortage and increased expenses for many companies. To reduce the risk, multinational companies should diversify their investment instead of relying on one region. They should also strengthen their supply chain by finding alternative supplier and transportation route. In addition, companies can purchase political risk insurance to minimize losses. In conclusion, the Hormuz crisis showed that geopolitical conflict can create major challenge for international business. Therefore, companies need effective risk management strategy to maintain their long-term sustainability and competitiveness. That's all. Thank you.
For the final section, I will presenting the strategy recommendation for multinational enterprise based on the analysis of the 2026 Hormuz crisis. I also contribute to preparing and developing this part of the presentation. First, companies should diversify their suppliers to reduce dependence on a single country or region. This helps minimize risk when disruption occur. Second, business should develop alternative transportation routes to avoid over-reliance on geographical checkpoints such as the Strait of Hormuz. Third, organization should strengthen inventory management by maintaining safety stock for critical materials and products. In addition, companies should invest in technology including artificial intelligence, predictive analytics, and tracking system to improve decision making and supply chain visibility. Another important recommendation is investing in renewable energy to reduce exposure to fossil fuel price fluctuation. Finally, companies should strengthen risk management through contingency planning and political risk insurance. By implementing this strategy, business can improve resilience, reduce disruption, and maintain long-term competitiveness in global market.
So for the final conclusion here, the 2026 Hormuz crisis had a significant impact on global energy suppliers, trades, and also international business activities. The crisis highlighted the important energy of security, supply chains resilience, renewable energy development, and also effective investment strategies. Therefore, businesses should diversify suppliers and investment, strengthen risk management, and build resilient supply chains, and adapt quickly to geopolitical changes. So, company that successfully balance efficiency, resilience, and strategic flexibility will be better positioned to achieve sustainable growth and maintain their competitive advantage in the global market. Thank you very much.